On Brilliance Business TV, we have the incredible Lynne McTaggart. For more than 20 years, Lynne is an internationally best-selling and award-winning author and journalist, has been examining the bridge between frontier science and spirituality. Stay tuned. Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler, and today I'm joined with my incredible co-host, Dr. Rhonda M. Wood. Rhonda, how are you?
Oh, I am doing amazing, Mark. It is so great to be here with you today, and I am super excited about today's interviewee. We are going to be joined by a true pioneer in the field of consciousness and intention and human potential. I mean, she's fabulous. So I'm ready to dive right in.
Well, ditto. I'm definitely looking for exactly the same kind of enjoyable experience as you. I'm actually a really big fan of Lynne McTaggart, so for me it's an absolute pleasure to interview her today. And I have to ask her some questions about, she probably gets this all the time, but I want to talk a little bit about what the bleep do we know and down the rabbit hole, because I even watched that documentary now and there's still so many pearls of wisdom in it. So she's probably going to be not hearing for the first time questions she's get asked many times, but I'm very looking forward to a conversation with Lynne. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're also on the E360 TV network. We're also on Business Innovators Radio Network. We're also on USA Global Radio and Television Network, Business Innovators Radio Network, and many other platforms, including mspnewsglobal.com. So let's bring in our incredible guest, the incredible Lynne McTaggart.
Hi there, everyone.
Lynne, welcome to Brilliance Business TV.
I'm thrilled
it's
to be
great
here
to have you on the show today, Lynne.
Thank you so much, and I'm thrilled.
We're thrilled to have you. So, Dr. Rhonda, over to you.
Yes. So, Lynne, again, thank you so much for being with us today. We're super excited to have you. Your work has just really changed the way we understand healing and energy and all of the sort of extraordinary possibilities that open up when we come together with purpose, right? So I'm excited to just dive right into this conversation with you today. Let's begin here. My first question for you is, how can people harness the power of intention to create measurable healing in their lives?
Well, first of all, they have to understand that their thoughts aren't locked inside their heads. You know, fundamentally, we are all complex energy systems. Our subatomic particles aren't particles at all. They're vibrating packets of energy, trading energy outside of your body, with the field, and with everyone else. Our thoughts are the same thing. They are trespassers. They go outside our heads and they can affect people and things too. We've seen this with countless studies. I've seen it with my own studies. I've run 42 intention experiments, everything from trying to make seeds grow faster. I've been working with scientists with all of this, to lowering violence in war-torn areas, to purifying water, to healing someone of post-traumatic stress disorder. And of those 42, 38 have shown measurable, positive, mostly significant effects. One of the ways to really supersize intention is with a small group. I started experimenting with small groups. I call them Power of 8 groups in 2008. And I have seen tens of thousands of miraculous healings. And by healings, I mean everything from healing the body to healing your finances, to healing your career and purpose, creating a new purpose, creating that dream job or that dream company or whatever it is that has been your dream, and even healing relationships or creating new ones. So I've seen the ability of intention to be supersized in small groups, but there are certain techniques you need to learn. Now, I teach 13 keys to intention mastery. I teach it in many of the courses that I run. But if I were going to give anybody a basic tip about it, it is number one, nothing like meditation. It's very high degree of focus with the group. And number two, it's highly specific. Most people make mistakes. They say, I want to be rich, when they don't really want to be rich in the sense of having more stuff. What they want is a new job. I hate my job and I want to change it. Or I want more free time to be with my children or grandchildren. Not necessarily that I want to accumulate stuff. So I teach people to tell the universe exactly what they want and to be highly specific.
Brilliant. I love that.
I have to agree. I just think you said something beautiful, that your thoughts are trespassers, because we get good thoughts and we get not so good thoughts. And I know myself, I had to come over a really big time of intrusive thoughts, and fear took over my whole body. Lynn, I had to work very, very deep on hypnosis, all these different modalities, therapies. I work with a neuroscientist, and the relaxed, I can watch them and pick the thoughts I want to pick. Well, I think times I'm just waiting to come back online. I think sometimes people don't realize the power of thought. Yes.
No, they don't. And in my classes, I make people walk around with a notebook for a week, writing down every thought they can. And they are shocked to see that about 80% of their thoughts, and by the way, we have about 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day, about 80% of them are negative about themselves, about everybody else. You know, we essentially have been programmed to think, ain't it awful, all the time. And we'll go around thinking, my bum looks big in this. I hate my hair. I really hate getting up in the morning. I hate her hair. Her bum looks big in this. And that's how we kind of go through our world in our day. And what I try to explain to people is those thoughts you have every day, all of those judgments you hold, all of that flotsam and jetsam that goes through your head, all of your thoughts 24/7 are also an intention, and they become your life's intention. Not just the things that you think about in your little half hour of meditation when you send out your intention to the world. You're intending it every moment. You just don't realize it.
That we have so many thoughts, and being able to control that and do the work that you're doing with intention is incredible. And let's move on to our next question. What did your experiments reveal about the quantum field of consciousness connecting us all?
That's such a great question. Thank you for asking. I finished my first book in this area called The Field, which really outlined the new science, the whole idea that instead of being separate entities operating according to fixed laws in time and space, we and every other thing in the world were all part of this giant quantum energy field. But there was some unfinished business after I wrote The Field. There was a lot of study demonstrating that thoughts are things, but not only things, but things that affect other things. So being an investigative journalist by background, that's how I started life, putting bad guys in jail, going after baby selling rings and things like that when I started my career. So that kind of skeptical inquiry has never left me. So I wanted to know, okay, how far can we take this? Are we talking about just subtle effects, like shifting a quantum particle, or are we talking about curing cancer with our thoughts? And I also wondered, what happens if lots of people are thinking the same thought at the same time? Does it magnify the effect? So at that time, The Field was in 30 languages. So I thought to myself, well, I've got a lot of readers. And I also know a lot of scientists working in consciousness research because I'd interviewed them all for The Field. So I thought to myself, if I just put them together, I'll have the biggest global laboratory in the world. So that's what I did in 2007. Now we have run, as I said, 42 experiments. What we have learned is, number one, you don't have to be local with your target to affect it. I'll give you an example. One of my experiments was trying to make seeds grow faster. And I worked with the University of Arizona, the famous psychologist, Dr. Gary Schwartz. He and his laboratory team, he has a whole consciousness laboratory, set up a system with 30 sets of seeds and 4 sets of the 30, labeled A, B, C, D. I was going to Sydney, Australia to give a talk in 2007. So I thought we'll run it there with 700 people in the audience. So we have them choose A, B, C, or D. I didn't tell the scientists which ones. We did an intention for the seeds to grow a certain height by the 4th day of growing. When we were done, I told the scientists we were done, still didn't tell them which seeds. They planted all 4 sets, measured them 4 days later, and only then did I unblind the study. Now, the seeds sent intention grew significantly higher than controls. So let's unpack this study. I was there in Sydney, Australia. The seeds were in Tucson, Arizona, 8,000 miles away. And we weren't sending an intention to the seeds themselves. We were sending an intention to a photograph of the seeds, a symbolic representation of the seeds, and yet we had an effect. We ran that study 5 more times with different sized audiences when I was there in person, from 100 to thousands. And one time with my audience from around the world on the internet. Every single time, the seeds sent intention grew significantly higher than controls. So what we learned was size of group doesn't matter. Location doesn't matter. We could be anywhere in the world focusing on that intention and focusing on that target had an effect. So I realized, number one, we create a psychic internet when we come together as a group with a common intention. I also realized something really significant, which was that the biggest effect was going on with my participants. And that's what I call the mirror effect. From 2007, when we started trying to lower violence in war-torn areas, I started surveying my participants. And I just wanted to find out, how was it for you? Were you able to get on my internet site? Because I was running it mostly from my website at that time. And to my shock, I got back extraordinary comments. which was things like, I'm getting along better with my children, my estranged children. My father, who disowned me, has just contacted me. I'm getting along so much better with my husband or my wife. So about 40% of people, and they routinely say this, say their relationships are much improved after, or even healed after the intention. Another 40% say their bodies are improved. If they have a medical condition, it's improved, even healed by doing this. And the most mind-blowing of all, about half of the people taking part say they're more in love with everyone they come in contact with. Essentially, they're hugging strangers. So that for me was the amazing element of it. But I do want to hasten to add, we continue to have measurable positive effects. Now, let's take an intention we did a few years ago for the officially most violent place in America, which is St. Louis, Missouri. And we chose the most violent area of that. The most violent area is a place called Fairground, a neighborhood that is so beyond the pale. It is, dealing with shootings and murders every day. So we did an intention there, and we measured the effect from 3 years before to 6 months after. We found that St. Louis as a whole, violent and property crime continued to go up, as it did in all the surrounding neighborhoods. But Fairground, the violent crime, the object of our intention, went down by 43%. So we're finding with these experiments over and over again that both the targets and the participants get healed. And sometimes that carries on. I've had people write to me say, my life has been transformed since this experiment from 2017. And most recently, we ran an intention right after Donald Trump was inaugurated to lower violence in Washington. We chose Washington, D.C., because it is one of the most violent cities in America. And we chose the 3 most violent neighborhoods, the 3 most violent wards, which are all sitting right across the river from the Capitol building. So we thought maybe some of that peace would just waft across the river and affect the Congress too. So we did, and we're just getting back the results now. You always have to wait patiently from February 1st to now to measure things. And we found a hugely significant lowering of violence in those 9 months. And we've also, for the first time, measured what was going on with participants before and after the experiment with special equipment. We discovered that there is a huge lowering of stress after taking part in this experiment, and even more amazingly, a balancing of the nervous system, because we're all in fight or flight mode right now, right? We're all pretty freaked out about what's going on in the world. And so our sympathetic nervous systems are very dominant. That's the fight or flight part. And they're supposed to be even Steven with our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest portion of our nervous system. But after this experiment, when we measured afterward, we found a huge rebalancing of the nervous system. So just taking part in this altruistic endeavor is extraordinarily health promoting and strengthening for participants.
It sounds like those experiments.
Lynn, that was just. Yeah, I just thought it just shows you how important our thoughts are, and that we've got a lot more power than mainstream media would have you believe. I think this stuff should be a lot more mainstream, Lynn, because it gives you that hope that, well, the power's in our control. We can choose the good. We can see the best in people and see them as healed and know that we're having a positive impact on our world as well. So I think mainstream, it should be a lot more mainstream. What was you going to say, Rhonda? And you can ask your next question as well.
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to say the experiments that you guys did, and of course I'm really close to Washington, D.C. And so, I know what goes on there. I've worked there. I was born in one of the hospitals there. So it sounds like those experiments were very effective and also transformational, and produced some very important data for you. Which kind of brings me to the next question that we have, which is, how can groups use collective intention to create positive transformation in the world?
Okay, that's such a great question. So the first thing is to create a Power of 8 group. Now, I give people all of the instruction for all the basics of it in my book, The Power of 8, but they can also come to my website, lynnmctaggart.com, where they get a number of instructions. And we have a community site. We have a brand new website, by the way, with a fabulous community. So people can join that and ask others to be part of a group. Now, it doesn't have to be in person. Most of the groups that I set up, almost all of them, are virtual. People meeting on Zoom or something like that. And it works just as well because of that psychic internet. So start a group, start doing intention for each other. They can then, I have on my website also some free tools called the 8 Revolution that is giving people information about how to change their communities using intention and the Power of 8. And they can connect with other Power of 8 groups. And of course, if they want to study with me, I have a brand new course that I'm about to launch called the Power of 8 Intention Masterclass, which is a year-long course. And people study with me for a whole year. They go through what I call intention boot camp, where I have them on successive Saturdays for 6 weeks, 2 hours each, live and interactive. So unlike most recorded courses, I'm right there working with them. So I teach people all the big things that you need to do to be an effective intention master. And there are 13 keys, as I mentioned, plus things I help people use intention in every area of their lives. Their relationships, their finances, their career, their life's purpose, and also overcoming negativity, which we all do. So they can find out about all of that on lynnmctaggart.com. But I urge everybody, use a group. Work with a group in your office or your company. Work with a group outside in your community. Work with a group over the internet to heal each other. I've had Power of 8 groups of my own going on for years, and we've healed many so-called hopeless cases, a late-stage brain cancer, botched surgeries, all kinds of things like that. We've healed people who were going blind, healed people going deaf, healed people who had major problems. And what I found is, just as you say, we have much more power than we recognize. And it's all ready to be unleashed. We were born with special abilities, the ability to see beyond our senses, to forecast events, and to use our thoughts to affect our reality. So you just need to learn how.
Powerful stuff, Lynn. And I just think, yes, stepping into our power and realizing the power that's within everyone and not falling for lack and scarcity and negativity, which if you put the telly on, which I never watch the TV, it's just such negative programming for your mind. And I think people need to be more aware of the bigger picture and to have more belief in ourselves that these possibilities are open to us. Now, you're part of my next collaboration event that we're doing on consciousness and healing. We have about 20 entrepreneurs involved, and I want to bring in one of our participants that's part of this amazing collaboration, the incredible Stacey Hall, who's also going to be asking you a question, Lynn. So we'll just get Stacey into the broadcast. Stacey, welcome to Brilliance Business TV. Stacey's very, very big on frequency. I've also got one of her frequency bracelets here, and she's also a sales strategist as well, and she's part of the collaboration with the incredible Lynne McTaggart. So Stacey, go ahead and ask your question to Lynn.
Well, Lynn, as I've known of you, received information from you through the years, and often share many of the intention practices that we both do. And we've been talking about the most important things in the world that can be healed through intention. As Einstein said, right? In the future, all medicine would be the medicine of frequencies. This being also focused on business, and my focus is on business and helping groups of business people to be able to manifest being able to fulfill their mission, as well as fulfill their financial goals for their business. What would be an intention prompt, let's say, because it sounds like every time you do an experiment, there's a specific intention that the group is focused on. Would you be willing to offer to everybody, for business purposes, what would be a good intentional prompt?
I would love to do that. And as the owner of 3 businesses myself, I try to practice what I preach also in work. Number one, I mean, people should always do this, but it's even more important when you're trying to be intentional. Set specific financial goals and intend for them. If I were running a company that we're talking about, I would get everybody together once a week and do an intention for whatever they want to achieve that week, but also hold the intention, write it down, put it everywhere, what their target is. But you can do an intention for everything. You can do an intention for advertising, whether it's on social media or Google ads or whatever. You can do an intention to find the right person if you're recruiting someone. One of the most important things, besides being very specific about what you want and doing it together in a group, so you all hold the same intention, somebody can read it out, you bring it down to your hearts, you send it out, and you visualize that coming to pass. Another really important thing is to tell the world about it. Tell the world. Now, that can be your immediate office, even the people who aren't in charge, but there is an important element to broadcasting. That makes you follow through. When you tell people what you're going to achieve, for instance, you have essentially made a commitment, and that mental commitment really helps you get everything in gear. So these things are really important. With businesses, you need to do so many things. You have so many gears to deal with, that an important thing also to do is to take baby steps. And there are many other ideas about visualization, mentally rehearsing, etc. But the point is to be intentional 24/7.
Yes, I agree 100%. All wonderful steps to take, and I thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks.
Yeah, that was a great question, actually. Great question. And I love that. And I like the way you said, Lynn, that nothing's off limits. We can set intentions for anything. And my question would be, you set an intention. How about if a little bit of resistance comes up or a few opposing thoughts? How would you deal with those? Because I think sometimes we set intentions, but then you can get those doubts that might arise after you've set the intention.
Absolutely. You have to banish them. I mean, I have a whole technique that I teach people for getting over negativity, primarily their own. I mean, just to give you an idea of it, it's more complicated than this, but just go back into the thought of what you're trying to achieve, what you were born to do, and just hold on to that when you're confronted with negativity. When you're thinking and doubts come in, you can always break your intention down. So if you're saying my intention is, and it's a target of making $2 million this year or whatever, if you're frightened about that and you have doubts about it, break it down and do an intention for a month-by-month achievement or a week-by-week achievement. You can break everything down. You don't have to limit yourself in terms of intentions. You can do loads and loads of them. So I usually tell people to break down things into baby steps when they're confronted with a complex problem, like business goals, or a complex health issue. Break it down. No reason why you can't. I mean, with one of the members of my own Power of 8 group, she had advanced brain cancer. So we did an intention for each stage of her healing, both conventional and alternatives. She decided to go with an integrated approach. So we did an intention for everything. We did intentions for her not to be in pain, to not lose her hair if she used chemo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And she's completely healed now. It's brilliant. And she never had any pain. She never had sickness. She never had any of that. She did really, really well.
Wow. That's incredible.
I love that. Just showing you the power of intention. Right. It really is. And Lynne, obviously, I'm a big fan of What the Bleep Do We Know Down the Rabbit Hole. And I know it's quite a few years ago now, but even now, Lynne, there's so much wisdom in that film, and it still all stands today, and it still can baffle your head today, just like in the beginning, with all of these concepts. And it really does show that what the bleep do we actually know, especially mainstream. How can they say that they know these things when there's so much that we don't actually know, Lynne?
Well, any science that says something like 97% of what's out there is dark matter, i.e. stuff they don't know, gives you an idea that the conventional approach to the universe is still in its infancy. I mean, I've discovered that with a new book of mine that'll be out in October of 26 called The God Notes. It's like my book, The Field, but it's all about sound. And sound essentially creates the world. So it's very much about, and I'm not just talking about us talking to each other, I'm talking about sound frequencies and how powerful they are to create everything from ourselves to the cosmos. So it is one other element of the new science that regular science, mainstream science, hasn't got a grip of, a grip about yet. So yes, there is so much wisdom in Bleep and Down the Rabbit Hole, and I was really grateful to be part of that and to just participate in that wonderful way of bringing this to a mass audience. And I know the producer very well, and I really applaud that it brought not only that, but a new way of communicating through a story that was also a documentary to the world.
I agree. I think it really opened eyes. And if anyone hasn't seen that, I'd actually say go and have a watch of what the bleep do we know down the rabbit hole. Absolutely incredible. And I only watched it about a month ago, and it's something that just every time I watch it, I just feel like, wow, there's so much potential of things that, like, you know, all these possibilities that are open to us if we only open our eyes and open our hearts and have that inner belief within ourselves. Lynne, I'm so happy to have had you on Brilliance Business TV today. I thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you. I'd also encourage anyone out there that's interested in intention setting or anything that Lynne has covered today, go to lynnmctaggart.com. That's www.lynnmctaggart.com. Rhonda, is there anything you would like to say before we leave today?
I just want to say I love your work. I think you're doing amazing things around the world. I'm so delighted to have had this opportunity to sit down and have this interview with you. I look forward to staying connected with you and you continuing to do great things in the world.
Thank you so much, Rhonda.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today on Brilliance Business TV. Thank you, Stacey, and thank you, Lynne. I'm really looking forward to our collaboration that's coming up. We've got I think there's around 20 other conscious leaders, and so that's going to be a great collaboration coming out in December. Everyone watch out for that with the incredible Lynne McTaggart. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. Until next time, bye for now.